A week ago, I arrived home from yet another business trip. Wife pulled me aside and confessed to an emotional and physical affair which I honestly had no idea was going on. It was consensual nearly 3 years ago, and then turned into a situation where he was blackmailing her, threatening to expose her secret. To continue, AP was a friend of ours and is in our social circle, knows most of our common friends. He'd been to the house several times and we've bailed him out of more than a few jams. AP is basically a deadbeat. I never saw it coming. The consensual part was a couple months after our first wedding anniversary, though we had dated for 12 years steady prior to getting married. There were ups and downs, but we pulled through and I assumed we were set. If we made it that long and through all of those issues, I reasoned, we can get through anything. It was also maybe 6 months after we bought our forever home. We were still doing the little things to make it a home, like repainting rooms, decorating, and planning future updates and upgrades. Things have been a challenge lately, but that was a far better time. We have always struggled in the bedroom. That's been the biggest issue in our relationship. She had a rule about no intercourse before marriage, which held for nearly 8 years of the relationship, including about 5 years of living together. She is also very type A in everything except for sex. She often is driven to be the leader in everything else in life. But sex, she wants me to initiate. I'm type B, a bit of a loner, and have always had lower than normal libido. Never went chasing girls in my teenage years, and sometimes went years without a girlfriend. We've been to therapy about it well before marriage, which helped me to be a little more confident, but there's always some reason why it doesn't work out. I never know when a good time to initiate might be. Too often I'd be turned down and not really know why, to the point where I stopped initiating. Health issues, work, travel schedules, and other things always seem to complicate the matter. At this point I have lost track of the last time we had sex, but it was after the affair had started. Trust has always been a big part of our relationship. It's had to withstand a long-distance arrangement for 2 separate years while I had to temporarily relocate for work. Even still, I travel quite a bit for work, though when the consensual part occurred was when my travel was at its lowest in years. That travel shows no signs of slowing down unless I change jobs, which means major financial changes and likely also lifestyle changes. I fully acknowledge that my own issues and my part in the physical relationship are major reasons why she was unhappy and how we arrived at the state that we are currently in. It's painful to know you let your partner down so much that she felt that going elsewhere was an option. That said, I don't take any ownership or fault in her decision to stray. She could have just left first, or we could have talked about it before it got to that point. She came clean on her own, has offered to answer any question I ask, and has done so without truth trickling. She wants to try to repair the relationship and stay together. Thankfully, we have no children. We both agreed that being parents wasn't for us. Beyond trying to get over the obvious trust issues that arise and the insult of the affair going on while I'm helping this dude out time and again, I'm struggling to determine what is left worth saving in her mind, or why things could get better. If sex has been a problem for so long, to the point where she felt the need to stray, and even therapy didn't help, can it get better? Oddly, I almost feel that the trust issue is the easiest of the 3 to repair. I've recently felt like I'm holding her back from the sex life she could get elsewhere. Apparently that was more true than I knew. Both staying together and going our separate ways seem to mean major changes. For the past week, it's mostly been status quo as I deal with shock. I know that can only last so long. I'm not even sure where to start to move forward. I have an appointment with my old therapist, who at least knows the backstory and the players. That's as far as I've gotten. Ex-wife drops back into my life after 6 years. My ex and I met in college and were madly in love all 4 years in school. Got married after graduation in 2010. In 2013 I caught her in a year-plus affair with a coworker. I was crushed. She said they loved each other, soulmates, didn't mean to hurt anyone, blah blah blah. We divorced only 3 months later. I was crushed. Worst time in my life. I mourned for over a year. I heard they got married. One day I decided I was tired of being sad, so I completely let go of her in my heart, got off my butt and truly moved on. I'm a programmer by profession and decided to take a pre-sales solutions consultant gig with one of the biggest software companies on the planet. That job has been amazing. I've traveled the entire world, every continent and all the major cities. Life has been a great adventure. I never did date seriously or remarry. I'm not opposed to casual dating and have dated beautiful women all over the globe. After my experience with marriage, I decided that wasn't my path and have been happy. Sometimes lonely, especially during holidays, but overall happy. I had decided enough traveling for a while, so I switched roles and am based in a major city in the US. I'm sitting in a diner on a Saturday morning eating breakfast and reading the news, Facebook, Reddit, etc., and somebody says, "Oh my God." The voice sounded like one of my women friends at work, so I looked up to say hi and my jaw dropped. It's my ex-wife. Here I am 2,000 plus miles away from our old hometown. Haven't seen her in almost 6 years, and there she is. I was dumbstruck. All I could manage was hi. I hate to say it, but she looked beautiful. She said I looked amazing. She asked if I was busy and that she didn't want to bother me, but that she'd love to talk. I said sure. We ended up talking for over 2 hours and continued for another couple of hours when we went for a walk in a close-by park. We were making small talk about mutual acquaintances, my stories of traveling the globe, everything but the elephant in the room. She finally asked me if I had gotten remarried at any point. I said no, once was enough. She seemed sad by that. We walked in silence for maybe a minute and she said, I have to say that I'm so sorry for what I did to you. You didn't deserve it. It was incredibly shitty and has haunted me since it happened. You didn't do anything wrong. I said you fell in love with someone else and married them. I couldn't stop you from doing that. I wanted you to be happy. Then I asked, are you happy? She laughed one of those joke laughs, huh? She told me the and her fought constantly and he ended up cheating on her and leaving her 2 years into marriage. I said, I'm sorry that happened to you. I know how bad that can hurt. She said she knew that when her heart was broken all she could think of was that she had done the same thing to me and that tortured her. She said she fell apart for almost a year, engaged in very self-destructive behavior, and then went to therapy to figure out why she's so screwed up. She said that was extremely helpful and several years ago she finally grew up and holds herself accountable for her own actions now. She had ended up moving to this city because she has an aunt that she loves that lives there, and after her second divorce before age 30 she needed to make big changes in her life. The changes were noticeable. She's definitely more mature. I had to go and get ready for the evening with friends, so we said our goodbyes. We exchanged contact info and agreed to go have coffee and talk more. We have been doing that. We're both single. I guess there's no harm. I can tell she wants more from me. She wants me to want her back. She drops hints as big as the Pacific Ocean. I'm not dumb. I have to admit she still has that certain something that just makes my heart skip a beat. Something I can't describe. Something I hadn't found in anyone else since her. I guess it's chemistry between us. To be honest, I want to be more than friends. I want to hold her and kiss her. She wants that too, but as of yet I've made 0 moves. What holds me back? Fear. I'm afraid of getting hurt again. If she had been a casual girlfriend that dumped me, I would have shook it off and moved on quickly. She wasn't though. She was my wife and the love of my life. I used to dream of her somehow coming back into my life. Well, here it is and I'm scared shitless. I don't know if I can give her that much of myself again. I'm way more protective of my heart now. We've both grown a lot and the past seems like 100 years ago. If she wasn't who she is, I'd already be head over heels in love. I struggle with, do I pursue love with her again or do I leave the past in the past? It sounds cliche, but it just had to be her. Of all the people I could have met here, it had to be her.